Hello everyone, my name is Jeremy Walsh and I'm the Director of Support, Training, and Documentation for BNI Connect. I'd like to welcome everybody to the webinar today. Today's webinar is on the online referral system that we have here in BNI Connect. And it really is one of the best things that, I've been a member for about 15 years now, and this is probably one of the biggest upgrades to my membership that I have seen since I became a member. And this came out about 2012 or so, where we can now enter referrals online through BNI Connect rather than simply pass them in on paper at the chapter meetings. So what we're going to talk about today is, why would you want to do that? And also, how does it help you and how does it enhance your membership by doing all of that activity online? Before we get started, just a couple of housekeeping things. First of all, if you're with me today, this is a live webinar. So if you have questions as we're going through the material, please do feel free to ask those questions. The easiest way to ask those questions is to type them into the questions panel. I can see those questions pop up on my screen and I can answer them as we're going through the content today. I will also make sure that there's plenty of time at the end to answer any additional questions, and that's regardless of whether it's about the material that we're covering today or whether it's about anything in BNI Connect. Now, we are scheduled for about 30 minutes or so. We try to keep these webinars nice, short and sweet and in kind of bite-sized chunks, realizing that everybody does have businesses to go back to and clients to deal with and phone calls to return. But that being said, I will always stay on these webinars until every single question has been answered. We also record all of these webinars. We make them available in a couple of different places. One place that we do make them available is on our support site. So if you click on the question mark here in the upper right-hand corner of BNI Connect, that will take you over to the BNI Connect support site, and you'll see a section called Live and Recorded Webinars. That's where you'll find our schedule of live webinars as well as every recording that we've ever done. You'll also find everything on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/BNI Connect Global. Again, that is youtube.com/BNI Connect Global. So let's go ahead and get started with today's webinar. And again, we're going to be talking about the online referrals. So the online referrals is, it's a way for us to basically pass, referrals and one-to-ones and, thank you for closed business, all of that activity that we would traditionally record on a piece of paper at the meeting. We can now enter those into BNI Connect. Now, one of the great things about BNI in general is, this accountability system that we have, which is, keeping track of all of our statistics. And again, that's something that we've always done. The biggest difference is that when you submit the slips at the meeting on a piece of paper, what happens is that the vice president will go back and they'll take that stack of pieces of paper, the slips, they'll count them out and they fill out a spreadsheet saying, okay, well, John had a one-to-one with Mary and Bob had a referral for Frank and so on and so forth, and they fill out this big spreadsheet. However, the details of those referrals are lost at that point. All we see is really the raw results of that. We see, well, in 6-month period, I gave 15 referrals and I received 12 referrals and I was thanked for $20,000 in business and I had 16 one-to-ones. But when we do it that way, we don't know who we had the one-to-ones with. We don't know who we gave the referrals to. We don't know who we received the referrals from. Once we start putting this into BNI Connect online, now we're tracking all of that information through the system. So before we get started with that too much, I just want to, this is the home screen, by the way, so you can see what I have here. We have what's called the My BNI Business Report. Now, one thing to keep in mind is the My BNI Business Report will have your statistics regardless of whether you've just been using the paper slips or whether you're using the online slips, because what this is doing is just pulling your personal data out of the summary POMS report for the chapter. So the POMS report, again, is that spreadsheet that the vice president goes and inputs and submits on a weekly basis. Now, as such, all of this information here, it only changes once a week as your vice president submits that report after the meeting, because it also keeps track of attendance and things like that. The one difference there, however, is this number at top. Now, this is called revenue received to my business, and this is a number that we actually don't track in the PALMS report. This is a number that is private only to you and actually is only available once you start using the online slips. Typically when we track thank you for closed business, what we're recording is all of the business that, it's the giver's part of the giver's gain equation. So we're tracking how much money you're generating for other members. So when other members submit a thank you saying, hey, I earned, $5,000 thanks to a referral that Jeremy gave me. Jeremy then gets, put in the PALMS report that he generated that $5,000. The revenue received, however, what we'll do is if you start submitting thank you for closed business slips online in BNI Connect, then we'll start tracking a sum total for you of what you've thanked other people for, which again we can't do with the paper slips. All right, so that is all the information here on the home screen. Now we'll track it over the last 12 months as well as your lifetime. Now, if you'd like to see the details of, what is being recorded for you or what you've input, there is the personal participation report here. There's a link right here at the top of the screen. If I click that, what this will do is this will tell you the details of the last 12 months. So on a week by week by week basis, what was entered into the PALMS report, and that'll include both the online slips or if you're using the paper slips, what was recorded for you on a week-by-week basis. And this is really helpful if you do think that there are any errors in your particular report, like you say to yourself, I know I gave more than 35 referrals, or I know I had more than one visitor. You can actually figure out which week it was that might have the error and just talk to your vice president and they'll be able to fix that for you. If I scroll down a little bit to the bottom of the page, now we have a bunch of links here, and this is kind of where all the magic happens. So we have for example, submit thank you for closed business slips, submit referral slips, submit one-to-one slips, and submit CEU slips. That's how we can record our weekly activity. And the nice thing is you don't have to wait until your chapter meeting to do so. Because this is, BNI Connect is online, 24/7, 365, you can really record this information anytime you want to. So, for example, right after you're finished having a one-to-one, you can record that you had that one-to-one right there in BNI Connect. Again, you don't have to wait until your weekly meeting and possibly even forget to input a slip at that point. The same thing is true with the referrals. You can submit a referral right away rather than wait to the meeting. And I'll show you how it also generates a notification about that, which is extremely helpful. Now, after you submit the slips, the other important part is that you'll be able to review the slips. So rather than turning in a piece of paper that disappears forever, we'll now track all of the details for you. So you can not only see who the referral was and their contact information and their any comments that you made about them and who you passed that referral to and who you're receiving referrals from. That's all here in the detailed reports. And of course, we have a way that we can print our slips for the meeting as well, so that we still have that excitement of passing a piece of paper. So let's take a look at how these slips work. So the first thing is, let's say that I have a referral for somebody. And actually what I need to do is I'm going to switch screens. As I said, I am an active member in BNI, so this is my actual home screen. I'm going to switch over real quick. You may not even notice the difference to our testing system so that I can submit a referral slip here without it affecting my actual membership. So if I have a referral for somebody, All I need to do is go into submit a referral slip, and hopefully this looks familiar. This is the same slip that we would use on paper, just an electronic version of it. So all we need to do is we're going to choose the person from our chapter that we have the referral from for. So let's say Kelly Gormley. Kelly is the payroll processing person in my chapter. So I have a referral, and let's say it's going to be, my business needs new payroll. All right, so this is actually an inside referral because I'm going to use Kelly's services. I can put my address information in here, my telephone number, email address, and any comments. We're looking to switch providers, and I would love to use your services. Right, I can rate this on a scale of 1 to 5, 5 being hot, and I can either submit this one and do a new one right away, so that would basically turn this slip in and then open up a blank one if I have multiple referrals in a row, or I could just submit this one, or I could close this form and go back to the home screen without saving anything. I'm going to go ahead and submit this one. And now the nice thing is that down here in my review my referral slips, that will immediately appear in my referrals given report. And here is this referral that I just passed. Kelly Gormley, my business needs new payroll, all my contact information, and you will notice that the POMS status is draft. And what that means is that our chapter, we meet on Thursdays, so we're going to be meeting tomorrow morning. So when I pass this referral, I'm putting it into the queue for tomorrow's meeting. It won't be until after our meeting has happened that I will get credit for this referral, and then at that point the status will say completed. But it will be in draft until after our chapter meeting and after the vice president has submitted the attendance and any other additional information. However, Kelly got a immediate email notification about that referral. So just to give you an idea of what that looks like, here's a quick example. So I received this referral just a couple of weeks ago from somebody in my chapter. His name is Ken Neff. He gave me a referral that was a medium hot referral. And this has all of the contact information so I can get in touch with that referral. Here is some information about the referral. And I also have now Ken Neff's contact information. So if I need to follow up with Ken and say, hey, Ken, can you tell me a little bit more about this referral? I don't have to go digging for his phone number. I can just, click on his phone number in the email here, especially if I received this on my phone. So what's nice is that we're speeding up the referral process because now that referral is happening right away. All right, so other things you can do, we also have the one-to-one slips. So if I have a one-to-one with somebody in my chapter, let's say that I had a one-to-one with Joe Sylvia. Joe Sylvia is the copy machine salesman in our chapter, commercial printers, big large format printers, all sorts of things like that. So let's say that we met at Starbucks, and we talked about new printing technologies. All right, let's say that we met just today. And once again, I can submit and do a new one right away if I have to report multiple, or I can just submit this one. And again, the nice thing about this is that I can review those one-to-one slips. So by default, it's going to show me the last 6 months of one-to-ones. But I can see here who have I been having one-to-ones with. This also allows me to strategize my one-to-ones. The next thing we have, of course, is our thank you for closed business slips. So this is when somebody has given you a referral that has turned into revenue for you. You want to thank them for generating that revenue. So let's say that Charles Westcott, he had given me a referral that turned into business for me. So I'm going to thank him for generating that business. Let's say that it generated $1,000 worth of business to my business. And let's say this was new business. So new business would be on a new referral. But we also do want to make sure that we're keeping track of our repeat businesses. This is a really powerful part of BNI revenue. For example, my company, we do a lot of managed services. So a lot of times when we get referred a client, they'll become a client and we'll be billing them monthly or quarterly for many, many years. But you want to make sure that every time you invoice that client, every time they provide more revenue to your business, that you are attributing that revenue to the original referral source. So I want to, every time a client, one particular referral gives money, I want to make sure I thank Charles every single time. And that helps to boost his credibility as well because people can see him as a giver in the chapter. All right, we can also mark what type of referral it is. A tier 1 referral, as I stated briefly before, a tier 1 referral is when two members in the chapter do business with each other. In other words, that referral stayed inside, or the relationships stayed inside the chapter. An outside referral is when you refer anybody else outside of the chapter to a member of the chapter. So let's say that I introduce my mother to Charles or something like that. That would be an outside referral. And finally, a tier 3 referral is what we call a spin-off referral. So let's say that a client that Charles had referred to me, they used my services. That would be a tier 2 referral that I would thank him for. But let's say that that client were so happy with what we did that they referred us to another person. That would be considered a tier 3 referral, but we attribute that thank you for closed business back to the original person that gave us the original referral. All right, and finally, we can put any comments on here. All right, so the nice thing about this too is that in the comments, you can put whatever you want. It's for your eyes only. Comments remain private to you and only to you. So that means that, Ivan Meisner, he can't see your comments. He can't see how much money you're making. I have godlike access as a system administrator. I cannot see the details of these transactions. Only you have access to the comments and only you know who you are thanking for closed business. Once again, if you're doing multiple at a time, you can do save and new. Otherwise, we have submit here. And as always, it will go immediately into your thank you for closed business slips report. And I can see all of the thank you for closed business that has been turned in. All right, as people are sending you referrals in the system as well, you can also see what referrals people are sending you. Now, you will get an email notification as well about them, but you'll be able to go back and recall the details here in the received referrals report. And of course, I can go back 6 months, or, you can change these dates to anything you want. So, we've been using this system since 2012, so I can look at, anything. It'll only go back to 2012 for me because that's when we started using online slips. But here, I can take a look at every referral that has ever been passed to me through BNI Connect. I can review what people said about them. I can review the contact details and the email address, and basically look up all of this activity. Now you'll notice there's some other fields on here that some of them are filled out and some of them aren't. And we have contacted, presentation, follow-up, and status. So the other thing you can do in BNI Connect is you can track where you are in the referral process with the referrals that you're given in BNI Connect. And we do that by using the track your referrals received. And again, this will only apply to referrals that you've received electronically. And you know what? Tell you what, I need to go over to our live system to do this because obviously the test system, I don't get many referrals in. So it has some old copies of the data. But let me go into the live system here and see if I can track some recent referrals that I've received. So again, by default, it's going to show me 1 month. And here's the status that I received, Julie Marola. And if I click on Edit, I can go in and either fill out any additional information. I can mark when I contacted them, so I know I received this referral on 10/6. I contacted them right away. They actually came into our shop on Monday, and we followed up with them yesterday to make sure everything was okay. I can re-rate this if I want to, and I can submit. Now, keep in mind, this thank you for closed business field is not attached to the slips. You would still need to submit a slip. This is really for your own internal record keeping if you wanted to record a separate number here. And I can also mark that this has now gone from pending to closed to a no sale. Now this one is now closed because we completed the job. All right, now if I go back to my home screen, and if I go to my received referrals report now, I can see that this referral here, now I know that I did the presentation and the follow-up and that the status is closed. Now the nice thing about this too is that Tom, my referral partner here, in his referrals given report, there is also a status field. And when I mark my status as closed, it will also mark it as closed in his referral given report, since we're linked together now with that referral. All right, and the final thing is that you can also print your slips. So everybody always asks me, oh, now that we're doing this all online, do we still even need to have a meeting? Yes, we absolutely 100% are still going to have our weekly meetings each and every week. We are a face-to-face networking organization. That is what we're going to do forever, is have those weekly meetings. The only difference is that we don't necessarily have to turn in that piece of paper, because this will automatically be put into the POMS report for the vice president. It actually makes your vice president's job 100 times easier. But we can still print out our slips in order to make sure that we still have that same excitement, especially for visitors. So, and also if you want to be included for the door prize drawing. So you can go to print your weekly slips, and you can see now that it has my referral, it has my thank you for closed business, and my one-to-ones. If I print this out, you'll notice that the referral slip is approximately the same shape and size as an actual referral slip. The other information is just there so that you're organized and you can read that off during the thank you portion of the meeting, or the I have portion of the meeting. Whoops, I closed the wrong window there. So what is the importance of this when it comes to your membership? And here's where I find it to be really, really powerful. After you've started using this for a couple of months or even a couple of years, you can start to really go back and analyze your membership in a way that you're never able to do if you're just using the paper slips. And by that I mean, it's really nice to know that I gave 52 referrals last year, or however many referrals. I can see here that I have given 35 referrals last year. Well, that's all well and good, but who am I giving those referrals to? That's a really important part. And who am I receiving referrals from? Because the importance of B&I is centered around what we call the contact sphere. And the contact sphere is going to be those like businesses that you're not competing with, but you share very similar clients. For example, I'm in the computer industry. So that means that a lot of other people that are in the tech and business-to-business industries are in my contact sphere. So like when I get a client and I'm talking to that client, who are other people that I could almost immediately refer that business to? For example, I can check out their website, and if they need help, I can immediately refer that to the web designer. I can find out if they need any copy machines, and I can immediately refer that to the copy machine guy. I can find out a little bit more about some of their systems, and are they a big company? Do they have any HR needs? I can immediately get that over the HR guy. So that's my contact sphere, and so I want to make sure that I'm giving to the people in my contact sphere, because that's also where about 80% of my referrals will come from. It's all well and good for me to give 15, 20 referrals to the florist, but it's not really helping me as much in growing my business. And that's where these review slips come in really handy. For example, if I review who I'm giving referrals to, and again, I can go back now to 2012 or so when I started using this. And simply by sorting this by two, I could also take this out to Excel by exporting this. But even if I just sort this by the to field here, this will now put it in alphabetical order, so I can see, just scrolling through here quick, who am I giving a lot of referrals to? I can see I give a lot of referrals to Elizabeth Berman, and that's for she's from the Chamber of Commerce. I see I'm giving a lot of referrals to Joe Sylvia. He's the copy guy in my chapter. I'm giving a lot of referrals to him. Ken Neff, he used to be a copy guy, but now he is a cell phone guy in our chapter. So another guy that I give a lot of referrals to, he's in the technology field. So this is good to make sure that you are doing the givers part of the giver's gain equation. And vice versa, I can also review all my thank you for closed business. And again, now I can go back to when we first started using the slips. And now this is the other side. Who is providing me with the most business? So I can sort this by thank you to and scroll through this. I can see a lot of thank you for closed business from Angela Moon. A lot from Frank Karpowitz. And these are my givers. These are the people that, I want to make sure I take them out to lunch so that they know that I appreciate them and all the continued business that they give to me. And it's the same thing with the one-to-ones, not just how many one-to-ones you're having, but who are you having one-to-ones with? All right, so we are at the bottom of the hour, and what I'd like to do is to open this up to questions. Does anybody have any questions whatsoever? I welcome you to type those questions in, and I'd be happy to read those off and answer them as they're coming through. While you're thinking of any last-minute questions, just a very quick reminder that we are recording this. It is available by clicking on this question mark in the upper right-hand corner. Clicking on that question mark will take you to our support site. And here on our support site, you will see live and recorded webinars. You'll see all of our listings of live webinars as well as all of the recordings, and I should have our October ones up shortly. Now, under the live webinars, by the way, our very next webinar, and a good referral for me, is to let people know about tomorrow's webinar. We're going to talk about connecting with other members, how to get into the kind of the social media portion of BNI Connect. So how do we, go in and find people in other cities and states and countries? How do we give people testimonials? And how do we use the discussion groups? And then next week, we're going to be doing the tools and reports and inviting and registering visitors. All right, we do have a question here from Stephanie. Can I go over the tier 1, 2, and 3 referrals? Absolutely. I'll tell you what, let me see if I can find this real quick. I actually have a presentation from, kind of a long time ago that I did that actually displays it pretty well. Let me see if I can grab it for you quick if you have a couple of seconds. Yes, here we are. All right, so here's like basically what a tier 1, 2, and 3 referral is like. So I went back to the beginning of my membership a while back, and I looked at a client that I had received in 2002. So that was actually a tier 1 referral because he was a member of my chapter. So he started using my services. It was pretty much right when I first started in BNI. Now what happened though was within the next year he remained a client, but he referred me to another person. So that there is now, this is the tier 1, the inside referral. Tier 2 is now the second level. He has now referred me to another person. Now, if I follow that another year, he actually referred me to 2 more people, right? So now I have my primary and my 2 secondary referrals, but the next year something additional happened. So he referred me to a couple more people, but this person here also referred me to 2 people. So this is the first level, the tier 1. This is the tier 2. And then these ones are tier 3. Now, we attribute those back to the first person because more than likely, I probably wouldn't have been introduced to these people if I hadn't been introduced to this person by the first person. So that's what makes it a tier 1, a tier 2, and a tier 3 referral. Stephanie, does that help? Does that make sense? Awesome. Brian has a question. Brian says, should we record referrals that happened with members prior to being an official member, such as referrals during the visiting and interviewing process? That's kind of up to you and your chapter. The official kind of party line policy is that we're tracking this activity between active members, right? So it's supposed to be, we're recording what we're doing with other members of our chapter and other members of BNI. But that being said, sometimes there's a delay. Officially, as soon as you submit an application, that is when your membership, quote unquote, starts. So any activity you have from that point forward, sometimes it may take 2 or 3 or 4 weeks for your application to make it by mail into the regional office that has to enter it into the system and so on and so forth. So, I would say that, if it's after you've put your application in, you could do a little catch up once you've become a member. Now, that said, if you've already turned in paper slips for it, then I would not record it again because then it will get double counted. So any activity that you completely haven't recorded, I would say is fine to put in. Now, please check with your membership committee, check with your vice president and your director consultant or executive director about how it's typically done in your region. Does that help, Brian? Awesome. Cool. Do I have any more questions? Any more questions at all about BNI, BNI Connect, referrals, filling out your profile, anything else in BNI Connect? I'm always happy to answer questions. Going once, going twice, and sold. So thank you guys so much for being here with me today, for taking time out of your busy lives, your busy schedules, your busy businesses to learn a little bit more about BNI Connect. And I remind you that a good referral for me is to please join me for tomorrow's webinar or recommend the webinar for other people to come and join. Same bat time, same bat channel, 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific. And tomorrow we're going to talk about connecting with other members. In the meantime, happy connecting.